Hello, I'm Karen, and as you know, I've been making some videos on making some little booties, and in today's video I'm going to be using Woolcraft New Fashion Chunky yarn in this lovely delicate pink and a 7mm hook. I actually don't teach crochet, it's something that I learned along the way, but I've received a message and I want to respond to this message. So this message is from Crystal Douglas, so thank you very much, Crystal, for your message. She puts, I am enjoying your videos, so thank you for that. I have been watching them via YouTube. I seem to become frustrated with making booties because I always get offline with my chains. I always get so far the same place each time and it never turns out right. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Now I'm not exactly sure, but I've got an idea, so I'm going to show you the basics, some really simple basics of the crochet. So we're going to go right back to the beginning and we're going to start with the magic loop and also a little bit of a magic trick. So when you go to make your magic loop, you make your magic loop, and the magic loop, if you pull it so it's really small like this, it looks like a knot. And when I was young, someone said to me, oh, I've got a knot in my wool, it's going to be really hard to undo that. Now I was really young and I couldn't undo knots at the time, and they said to me, can you help me? All I want you to do is to blow on the knot and you can magically make it disappear. So I went and the knot disappeared, and I really thought that it was magic, but the principle of this is just trickery. So if you was going to make a normal knot, you would get your yarn, you'd wrap it around and you'd tuck under the tail and you'd pull that through and you would make a knot and you pull it tight. But when you do the magic loop or the magic knot, you wrap the yarn over. I hold my yarn here to stop it from going anywhere and tuck that piece under as if I was going to pull, if I pulled it all the way through to make the knot, and I pull that up, which creates the loop. Now if I pull on this side, on the right hand side, the loop will get smaller and smaller until it becomes the little tiny knot that when you blow it disappears. So that's how you make your magic loop. Okay, so we've wrapped over, holding it there, tucking it under and pulling that there, putting our hook. We want our main yarn to be on this side if you're right-handed, and I'm sorry I can't show you how to do it left-handed, like I said, I'm not a teacher. And if you pull it on this side, it'll pull it tighter so it's on your hook. Now on the pattern that she's talking about, I've done a chain of 9, so I'm going to chain 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there we have our chain. I'm just going to pull out my hook just for a minute just to show you. On the chain you've got loops that are going over the top and you've got these loops that are coming under the bottom. So when you work into one of the loops you end up with this coming down to the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to put my hook back on. In my pattern you need to go to the 3rd chain, so we're going to count down. So the one that's right next to the actual hook is 1, next one is 2 and this one is 3. And I'm doing a half double crochet, which is a wrap over underneath one loop, catch the yarn, pull it through. So I've got 3 loops on my hook, catch the yarn again and pull through. So that's 1. So catch your yarn, so it's wrap over, through the hole, catching the yarn again, pulling back. So you've got 3 on the hook, yarn over again and pull through. Yarn over, into the loop, and I'm yarning over at that angle there, pulling through, yarn over and pulling through. Whoops. So I've got my 3 half double crochet, and I've still got, there's actually 2 chains at the very beginning because I actually worked into chain 3, so there's actually 2 chains there as well. So then when I come to work down my chain, I'm going to go underneath 1 loop, which leaves me a down bit and a top bit. So underneath the top loop and half double crochet, and it says half double crochet 5, so I go 1, oops, 2, 3, 4, and this one is 5. There we go. Which leaves me with this last loop, which is also part of the chain and also part of the magic loop in the beginning. And we need to work 6 in there. I'm still going to go underneath 1 loop. So that's 1, 2, 3. Now normally I would tuck the tail under at 4, but I'm going to leave it open and assuming that you're using the advantage of the magic loop. So this one's 4, 5 and 6, which leaves the work looking like this. Now this little bit that's left here is part of the magic loop and the last chain. And if we look at our work, I'm just going to pull my hook out a minute. If we look at our work, where we've done our other work, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes. Now when we're coming back, if I show you, we're going to see, we're ignoring this part here because when you pull this tight, this is going to get covered up. So this part here is our first hole that we want to work in, but I'm only going to go underneath 1 of the loops, so it leaves this part of the chain inside. So you've got a centre bar. So if we go underneath 1 loop there and do the half double crochet, we've got the rest of them, they are all wrapping over this way. So we're going to go underneath just 1 loop each time. So I've done 1, that's 2, underneath there, look, I'm trying to do it slowly to show you, 3, 4 and 5. I'm just going to take out my hook again just to show you here. So when you've done this, your 5th stitch, you've still got a part that's coming over there. Now that part there is actually the other side of the chain of when you worked in the chain of when you had to come back and it was working the 3rd chain. That's one side of the chain, and that loop there is the other side of that, the 3rd chain when we started in the beginning. So that's where I'm going to work rather than going into the centre hole, because if I work in the centre hole it's just going to get even bigger, and the only way to shrink that down is to actually sit and sew your yarn when you're tidying up all your loose ends. So I'm going to go in there so that that hole stays as small as it possibly can be, and I do 1, 2 into the last, whoops, I've caught my yarn, into the last one. Now what I'm going to do again is I'm going to take my hook out again and show you. If you look at the top of the work that's been created, you've got these little, these are your loops that are going on. These are when you're being told to, that's working through both loops. This obviously is to the front of me, so that's the front loop, and this loop is the back of the loop. And what happens is each time you do a stitch, because I'm going to show you on this is my last stitch, so that's the last stitch that I'm working on, and that loop around there, not the one that's sticking out, the actual one that's going around the outside, is forming this top pattern. So each stick up, or post as they like to call it, your actual top of your half double crochet or your single crochet is always slightly to the right hand side. So when I go to slip stitch to join, this part here, that's one chain and that's two chain. They're part of my original chain. That's the third one. And this, if you look at the pattern, we can see, look there. So that pattern there is the top of the first half double crochet. And that's where I just catch my yarn, pull it through and pull it through, and that's slip stitch together. That's actually quite a loose stitch, so I'm just going to pull that tighter just so that it looks neater, and pull that through there and pull that through, and that is the very beginning of my pattern. Now I hope that that's helped resolve your problem, Crystal, and if anybody else is having the same sort of problem, I hope that that's helped you too. And I just will say that when you do pull the tail tight here to tighten up this end, because the yarn, when I didn't tuck the tail under at number 4 where I normally do, it just tends just to leave sometimes a little bumpy finish, but that's just preference, I suppose, of how you like to do it. So I hope that that's made sense. Thank you for watching, thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing. And another tip, number 7mm hook and this chunky yarn is going to be needed for my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.